Greetings, and welcome back to another Torpid cast. Not got such a long game for you guys today, though I believe it's something like 18 minutes long or so. However, bit of an interesting matchup, and I know that anyone familiar with this community is going to be very aware of this player, the trusty little Warp Spider Exarch ArcticFrenzy. I'm hoping, I don't know how this matchup goes, I record everything blind, I like to make a point of that, I don't want to end up faking reactions or anything like that. But I'm hoping that this matchup illustrates some interesting play. One thing that I see straight away, I see two Dire Avengers instantly rather than getting the Dire Avenger, Banshee, Dire Avenger. I didn't actually see if the Banshee was delayed by that. That's probably something that I should research, because I understand why you'd go for the Dire Avengers first. If they encounter something like the Scouts or the Force Commander, they can actually defend themselves, whereas Banshees have to waste time chasing them and they can't cap the point while simultaneously shooting. Oh, this is cheeky. Warp Spider Exarch instantly teleporting in and getting the decap and Rice's natural power, and he's not really got anything to counter that. Scouts obviously can't 1v1 the Warp Spider Exarch, so we need the tax down there or the Force Commander. This is actually huge. Rice has no power right now. So whilst he is winning these engagements up here, there's been pretty much no bleed. I mean, one Banshee model probably? Not even a Banshee model. He got one Dire Avenger model and he does capture the top of the map here and deny the natural wreck. Who cares, man? Arctic's just noded his natural power. So I don't really think that works out in Rice's favour at all. Really, you need to send on this map, especially if you're against the Spider or the Mech. Either of those teleporting heroes, you know that they can make this play. Any of the Eldar heroes, they can just fleet over, come down the bottom, steal your power. Any IG hero, just send the hero along with the Sentinel, steal your power. So you need to send the tax down here, or the FC. One of the other has to do it, because you can't allow the enemy to do that. So if you're watching this, Rice, which hopefully you will be, that's something you need to do, because this is going to set you back massively now. While things are retreating here, and there's not too much going on, I mean, we just see the Force Commander using his battle cry to deny the Warp Spider the decap of the wreck, which is actually fully matured, so it probably is worth using the battle cry there. Oh, Arctic's doing a really good job denying the capture of the power here, using the Dire Avengers in green cover, knowing that the Tactical Marines are nowhere nearby. Therefore, Scouts alone cannot force off the Dire Avengers because they both lose in ranged and in melee, and therefore the Force Commander has to come down to force them off. Then he baits in Force Commander to chase the Dire Avengers trying to get bleed, which he does, but it means he falls into the Shuriken, which forces off the Force Commander, and it means that Arctic's now turned this situation around. While he has conceded the initial 80 or so VP loss in order to ensure that he has the node on Rice's natural, he now has simultaneously the top of the map, which is more precious in terms of the resources, having these triple requisition points in a row, and are contested along with 2 VPs, and also has the natural of Rice at the same time. So that's an amazing position for Arctic. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure he's bled that much more. Obviously he has bled more, but you would expect Eldar to bleed more in the early game against Space Marines, so that's fine. The trade-off is that the Space Marines don't bleed as much, but they don't really have any retreat killing potential, whereas the Eldar will bleed as much in engagement to engagement situations, but the Eldar always have opportunities to try and wipe your units if you're not careful. I like this play with the Dire Avengers, not just instantly retreating them just because they're on one model, because he wants to use it for the capping power while he knows they're fairly safe. And he sends the Banshees down here because he knows that the Banshees can solo Tactical Marines, and he knows from the capping speed down there and that the Tactical Marines were down here. Obviously he sees that the Shuriken's forced off, therefore the Dire Avengers need to go. So this is generally decent play from Arctic. One thing I shall say that I disagree with Arctic doing, he shouldn't be fully capping this wreck point, because there's no way he's going to control it for very long. It's never going to fully mature. So you're better off getting the decap, deny your opponent the requisition, then teleport off and get the VP pressure in, because he is actually losing on VPs quite badly here, because for some reason, in that moment when he turned it around and forced off the Force Commander with the Shuriken, he didn't cap this top VP, so his VPs have still been draining, and I think that was really unnecessary. He's really exploiting the fact that he did have that power node though by keeping the pressure on, getting the second Shuriken, which is a great choice because ASM for the Space Marines are 50 power, and Rice, he's had no power, man. He's had to build a generator on the center here, where this contested node is, simply because his natural was denied for so goddamn long. This means he doesn't really have any counter to the shurikens. All he can rely on is his scouts, but he hasn't been able to fully upgrade his scouts either, because he's not had the power to do so. So I think in this instance, Rice really, his only option is to rely on the power of tactical space marines and their range superiority, and combine it with the storm shield on the force commander. At the moment I noticed that he's using the force commander as a solo capper, and that's great. Nothing on the Eldar army except for shurikens can beat the force commander 1v1. But if you play well, you can micro around the shurikens and actually avoid them and stop them setting up. But I think the scouts, fully upgraded, they'd be a really good option instead of the force commander for that. They will beat every unit that the Eldar can field one-on-one except from upgraded banshees, but they can avoid upgraded banshees quite easily using their infiltration, and it also risks them the banshees being wiped by grenades. So I'd like to see him go Storm Shield, use that with your attack blob, and then keep the scouts as the solo capper elsewhere. And then so long as the shurikens are out of cover, with the Storm Shield, double tacks will shoot them down quite easily. And then he doesn't have to invest too much power. At the moment he's gone for a full gen farm, which is fine, but at the moment he doesn't really have a way to counter these shurikens. If Arctic just consolidates his double shurikens and his banshees, and to be honest, he could just bring the Avengers along as well, but he's not actually fully reinforcing them, which is an interesting play. I think at this point, Arctic should be reinforcing the Dire Avengers and using them for combat. Obviously, he doesn't want to use them for combat, he's relying on the Banshees and the Shuriken for that, but I think he needs to recognise that he's going to have the tech lead, and if he can solidify it now by getting a Gem Bash off, by putting 2 Shurikens down here, along with the Banshees, along with Dire Avengers, he's going to win, because then as soon as he gets the Falcon out, there's no way that Ricemuncher is going to have an EAV. The problem is right now, he's kind of letting Rice get away with having this inefficient composition that can't counter the Shurikens, because he's only using the Shurikens defensively. Why is the Shuriken up here? Is it really necessary for the Shuriken to be up here when it's only a scout squad? You could easily defeat that with Dire Avengers and get the cap. I feel like this is a little bit of complacency on Arctic's behalf. And because he didn't have the 2 shurikens together, the combination of the scouts outflanking, getting the grenade off with the battlecry damage buffs, and then the flamer having its damage buff from the force commander, Rice is actually going to get the Gem Bash now, which is kind of huge. There's no real reason that should have ever happened. He had a completely inferior composition to Arctic. He had no actual hard, dedicated shuriken counters, and Arctic has double shurikens. So this is absurd. He's going to get a full bash. Whoa, hold on. Arctic's going for an ARC to deny the generators. And yeah, okay, fine. You've denied the generators. Great. But he did destroy one, and he got the decap, so all this time now, Arctic's getting basically no power income. But the crucial thing here is, Arctic went for the fast tech and didn't go for the generators, which he's now bashing with 2 Dire Avenger squads that only have 3 out of 5 models, so only 60% DPS. This is horribly inefficient. Stop doing this. But he's wasted the power income that he had saved up while taking tier 2 to get an ARC. But an ARC doesn't automatically counter the Force Commander, Tactical Marines and Scouts, so he's allowing Ricemuncher to get a comeback here, which by all rights Ricemuncher has no right to be in this game at this point. He should have been base locked with no generators, forced to go up onto the top and try and play some sort of VP game that would be inconsequential once the Falcon comes out. Every goddamn recording, man. Every recording. Okay, and we're back. I believe we were somewhere around this point. So Rice is just about to get to tier 2. And Arctic has been in tier 2 for bloody forever. But because he went for that ARC, he's not been able to actually pressure Rice with any sort of vehicle. Which in turn means that somehow, Lord only knows how, Rice has actually managed to keep his farm in spite of being so far behind in tech. And as we can see, yeah, the ARC's great. Lovely force multiplier. But she doesn't hard counter Scouts and Tactical Marines. Certainly not when there is a Thunderhammer Force Commander nearby. This is the problem. This is why Arctic needed to get the Falcon out sooner. Even if he lost the entire power farm, if you have the Falcon, who cares? Like, that's what you want the power for. So you don't need the power farm anymore. Just go get rid of all his power. If he's stuck in tier 1, he can't get this crazy ass Thunder Hammer out, and he can't get any AV to counter your Falcon anyway, so you're just going to base lock him. So that would definitely have been a little tip to Arctic. And with regards to Rice, I feel like his tier 1 play was super reliant on charging at the enemy gen farm, but I think whilst in this case, well, earlier on, he did actually manage to get a shuriken wipe because Arctic sent his shuriken up north and didn't have the double shurikens down here. I think you need to be real wary, Rice, because up against a better Eldar player, that would not have happened. You'd have sent your 2 tacks down here and your force commander and your scouts, and you would have met double shurikens and been at a complete impasse. And you'd have had nothing. You'd have lost all the map control in the top, you'd have completely messed up your gen push, you would have wiped nothing, he would have rolled over with 2 shurikens, and you would have lost your farm. So in that case, I would have just said, right, fuck it, send like 1 tack down here and send the rest of the army up north and just try and get some map control. Maybe get the node up here, and then you can come back with that strong Space Marine late game. But as I say, in this case, it's worked out for him. He's actually managed to maintain stable on the VPs, and whilst the Falcon is now out, the good thing is he already has that Thunder Hammer and his Force Commander, even the Teleporter, and he has Stern Guard, which, you know, they're great anti-infantry, and they're also soft AV. But right now, of course, Rice is really lacking in one thing, and that's AV. That's what he needs right now. I just realized this whole time, the Banshees, they don't even have an aspect. That's crazy. Definitely need the aspect. And we're seeing the lack of the upgrades in the Eldar units is just brutal. The scouts, of all things, are just soloing squad after squad after squad and barely bleeding. Without their Exarch, they're not going to beat fully upgraded scouts. Just get the Exarch, and they're going to stomp on the scouts 1v1. It's such a cheap upgrade, 15 power. But we see that Rice has gone for the Devastators, and predictably he's getting the Las Cannon, which will give him something that can counter the Falcon. If he can catch it out of position, get that snare and use for the Emperor and potentially combine it with the damage buff from the Battle Cry, he can kill the Falcon real quick. Problem is, Falcon's fast, and it can just do this. Circle around the damn Devastator. With the Autarch on the field as well, she can of course just jump the Devastator, which is going to make it pretty redundant. So I feel like he is going to need the missile attacks as well, but he just doesn't have the power to justify it. That said, the lack of upgrades, man, on these Banshees and Dire Avengers, the Eldar infantry is just trash without them. Like, they struggle to even win early engagements, never mind against leveled up Space Marine squads that have more upgrades. Man, Arctic needs to be careful. This is some serious DPS coming out from the Stern Guard. He might lose it to the damage over time is going to kill the Autarch. Oh my god. Rice actually might be able to make a comeback here. Rice is buying the Artificer armor, and while that has a great synergy with the Force Commander, I just feel like that's not a priority upgrade right now. The Falcon is the big threat, and as you can see, a Las Cannon's great, but unless Arctic fucks up and walks into the Arc of Fire just like an idiot, you know, just brazenly not scouting beforehand, which is what you obviously need to do, you're not going to kill the Falcon. So you need some other form of AV. You can go for a pincer attack, snare it with the Las Cannon, move in with Stern Guard with their Kraken with their Vengeance rounds, which is what he's using now. It does tickle away at the Falcon, but the Falcon's too quick. So against a good player, they're just not going to get caught by that Las Cannon. They're going to stay back behind their Eldar firing line, and they're going to evade your snare, and you're never going to catch them. So I do think that a missile launcher is really lacking here. Or maybe even a tier 2 ASM with a Melter Bomb. That'd do really well against the Falcon. But you got one shot. Oh my god! That was really sloppy by Arctic. Let him get 2 shots off with the Las Devs. Like, this is what I mean. Why would you have the Falcon so far forward when you haven't scouted what's around this area here? He had no infantry there. He had a Dire Avenger capping here. He had another one capping up here. So Arctic had no idea what was over here, because obviously we can see it, but Arctic couldn't. So you don't drive your damn Falcon over this way. Just poor plays, if I'm honest. Poor plays. Arctic has a really bad habit of not upgrading his Eldar infantry. You need the upgrades on them to become cost effective. So these Warp Spiders are just, they can't do anything against Tactical Marines. The Dire Avengers are going to die in retreat from bloody Sternguard Hellfire. And at this point, Rice is actually stabilizing. He's got all 3 generators up, and he has every single point that's contested on the VP bar on the center of the map, bar this one requisition point. Great position for Rice to be in. So all he needs now is a little bit more AV because the Wraithlord is going to cause a problem. And then maybe another squad to help him control the map. I think tier 2 ASM would be really good, but also a Dreadnought could be really awesome right now. These Sternguards should be able to wipe the Shuriken if they get some good melee attacks off. Oh, unfortunately that model didn't actually have much of the HP. I think there was a little bit of a premature retreat there. Could have got some extra damage on the Warp Spiders. He goes tier 3, which I think is a really ballsy play. He does have a really good economy and he has the VP lead as well, so it can certainly work, but personally I think that the Wraithlord is a big threat at the moment, and I wouldn't be very happy trying to counter it solely with Sternguard and the Devastators. Though I suppose while he is taking tier 3, he now does have quite a lot of power, so he could easily swap to get a missile attack, and a Lasdev, Sternguard and a missile attack, yeah, definitely can deal with a Wraithlord, especially if you start stacking the Battlecry Thunderhammer buffs and for the Emperor on your AV units as well. Man, these Banshees can't do shit. They've just got no HP. Look how fast the Sternguard just destroyed them. Get your damn Exarch. And the Warp Spiders aren't doing anything. I don't think they've killed a single model yet, and they've just bled like crazy. Yeah, really sloppy play from Arctic, I must admit. There's no way that... This game, if I'm completely honest, should have been over in tier 1. Rice looks like he's in the ascendancy from here. I'm not sure what Arctic can do. All of his squads are just useless. They've got no upgrades, no leaders. They are completely non-functional against leveled up Space Marine squads. These attacks are nearly level 4 for God's sake. The Sternguard themselves are level 2. They're taking on the Wraithlord on their own. Oh, that's a beautiful special though. Gotta love a Wraithlord bitch slap. Always effective.
War is their religion, and they wish to make their devotions.
Not even got the mounted Shuriken cannon on the Wraithlord, so this is just tickling Space Marines. They don't give a shit. Look at it. It's nearly like losing 1 HP a second. For God's sake, they don't care. They've got over 1,000. So, I don't know. I mean, honestly, Rice at this point can go for anything. He's winning. He doesn't even need his tier 3 purchase. These units are just... They're not combat effective. Like I said, they've got no upgrades. There's no aspect on the Warp Spiders. There's no Exarch. I know this was a very esoteric and a very strategic cast, but I'm actually going to make sure that Ricemuncher watches this because I think he has a lot of things that he can learn from it. Decent play though, good on him for making the comeback because, as I say, he definitely should have lost this in tier 1. But there are ways that he could improve his play because I do feel Rice, if you went up against a competent Eldar player, and I think Arctic can be competent, but on this map he wasn't. That was not good Eldar play whatsoever. If you went up against a higher level Eldar player, you would have been smashed in tier 1, the way that that early game went. So I think there's definitely things to learn from this. But you have the tenacity to come back from horrible situations and not just give up. So that's all you need to become a very good player. You've clearly got the micro, you just need the sort of strategic macro level insight. Because a couple of your timing pushes I think were just really way too high risk, and Arctic let you get away with them. The way that he played very passively and very complacently, and it let you get away with things. But yeah, anyway, as I say, I understand this is not so entertaining for you guys who don't actually play Dawn of War 2 and you just watch the content because you like 40k. And I appreciate that. I'm going to try and get out a few more entertaining replays. I'm not going to have any of them this week, but I promise you next week, in addition to the regular Thursday 1v1 cast, I'm also going to have a 3v3 cast, which I'm hoping will be a little bit more entertaining for you guys who are not so interested in these sort of more analytic, strategic 1v1 replays. But I also want to do a few of these because ultimately it's all in the spirit of my channel. It is called Senpai Torpid DAO. You know, I'm here to entertain on the one hand, and I like a bit of drama, I like a little bit of shit talk, I like hyping things up, that's all cool. But I also like to really delve into the deep strategic elements of video games, and I want my Let's Plays to illustrate that, and I also want some of these 1v1 casts to illustrate that. I want everyone to get better at 1v1, man. I want more of a challenge. That's why, if any of you guys are going to be following me throughout the Elite League Season 4, you're going to be noticing that I'm playing what I believe, and I know that a lot of the high-level players in the community at the moment believe to be some very lacking heroes. Specifically the Apothecary, the Tech Marine, the Chaos Sorcerer, the Ravener Alpha. And I know a lot of people think the Chaos Lord is very good, but personally, I don't think at the top tier of playing 1v1, he's that hot. So he's my 5th pick. But yeah, make sure you follow me on twitch.tv and you can see all of those games live, as well as a lot of my non-league training sessions as well, because I think it's going to be really interesting. This league's shaping up to be pretty fantastic. You've got a lot of players who are very, very similar in skill level. We're talking B-Boss, who I'm sure you're all familiar with. He has his own YouTube channel as well and streams very regularly on Twitch. You have Piano, you have Best Noob, you have Twalalee, you have Dark Hero, you have Ben. All of those 6 players I feel are very, very similar in skill level, and because I'm not playing super actively myself at the moment, and I've gone for these 5 hero picks that I believe are quite weak, I think I'm pretty on tier with all them as well, so who knows who's going to win this league. It's really a complete toss-up. It could be anyone. Make sure you check that out. Stay tuned as well on my YouTube channel. As I say, I'm going to have multiple videos next week. The aim is I'm going to have 3 Dawn of War 2 casts. Unfortunately, this week I'm very busy, so I've not got out a lot of content, but I hope nonetheless you found this game enjoyable. And if you've listened to my little lecture at the end of this one, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching, guys. That is all for today. Torpid out.